Hello and welcome to today's video. So this is our third look through some viewer collections, and we've got an amazing selection of books for you to have a look at today, not least of which we'll kick off with my friend Dale Santos over in America with his collection of original Target Doctor Who covers, which is quite frankly mind-blowing. And then towards the end we've got a look at the Mad Museum, where that collector is trying to amass every single edition, every single cover and every single printing of every Mad book that's ever been published, and boy oh boy, it's just mind-blowing. So that's just a couple of highlights in this video. Now I do encourage you to send some more of your submissions through to me. My email address is just there, julesburt@gmail.com. My next one of these isn't going to be until late January, maybe February next year, so you've got plenty of time to take some great photos, write up a little bit of history about your collection, and I'll be putting it into video number 4 next year. Until then though, enjoy today's video, sit back, relax, and let's get to it. So collection number 15 is from my friend Dale Santos, and Dale lives over in America. So Dale says he's been collecting Doctor Who items since the early 1980s. Around 20 years ago, he says he started his focus on collecting the artwork and now only collects artwork and Target books. So of the pieces that we see here today, they're all by Grice. There was a later Dalek Invasion of Earth commission that Dale asked Grice to create. There's a 9th Doctor piece that Achilleos painted, and that was used in an issue of SFX magazine. And there's also an Achilleos Green Death piece that was acquired when Achilleos was in Los Angeles, California, at the Gallifrey 1 convention a few years ago. And he says this one's got a real 1970s feel about it. He's also got 3 by Jeff Cummings, including The Horror of Famrock, that fantastic book jacket. He's got the re-release of The Crusaders, the Andrew Skilleter item, and he's got The Ark by David McAllister. An absolutely fantastic collection. Certainly each one is unique, and they just look fantastic. I think the Sea Devils cover you've got is just drop dead gorgeous. I think that's my favourite of them all. So collection number 16 is from Kent Palao. So Kent says, I've collected these since about 2016. My first one was Crossroad by Barbara Hamley, and these are all about Captain Kirk. He says, been collecting for about 5 years and he's looking forward to expanding his collection and getting some more. Well, not too much of an issue when Star Trek is concerned. There's always more out there. So collection 17 is from Kim Cottrel. So Kim says, hi Jules, it's a fairly modest collection, but mostly crime and thriller writers. I'm 63 and live in Adelaide, South Australia, originally though from Hackney, London, and I emigrated here in 1971 with my parents. I have a particular fondness for Agatha Christie, have been reading and collecting her books since I started work at 16. I also love to read P.D. James, Ruth Rendell, Nagia Marsh and all those great female writers of that period. I have a small collection of Christie novels, love and collect vintage penguins, me too, and Ladybird books, autobiographies and contemporary and vintage British, USA and Australian novels. She also loves poetry and verse. There we are, thanks for sharing, Kim. Now the next collection, number 18, comes from Matthew Grice. So Matthew says, I've been a fan of James Bond for 24 years, and over the years I've obtained a collection of Bond memorabilia, including sets of the Fleming and continuation novels. However, over the last 5 years, I have really appreciated the artwork much more. Sadly, I have no first edition hardbacks, but do have the complete set of the Raymond Hawkey editions, alongside with the sought after Director's series that were published by Pan in the 1950s. Yes, very, very nice. I have the relatively new paperback editions of the Gardner novels, accompanied by the US hardback editions. Also, I collect the US editions of the Raymond Benson novels published by Jove. Any collection can't be complete without the beautiful Folio Society editions that have the fabulous illustrations by Faye Dalton. Yeah, you've certainly got some very nice books there, Matthew, and thank you for sharing those. So, collection 19 is from Michael Howard. So Michael says, I was an original 66 trekker, not quite 11 years old. In 1968, a lady on my paper route was a Star Trek The Original Series fan and taught me about collecting. Decades later, she ceded her collection to me. That included Leonard Nimoy vinyl, an original Mego Spock doll, and the first 3 classic Star Trek TV guides. And I have them all to this day. In 1975, while on my leave from the US Army, a friend of my younger brother's had all 10 of the James Blish novels and challenged me to beat his collection. I just forgot to stop. My first novel that I bought at the main post exchange at Fort Ord, California, Star Trek The New Voyages by Sonder Marshak and Myra Culbreth. It took me decades to collect them all, a true obsession, and more years later to find them all in the first edition. My wife Lois is quite supportive and even in our retirements allows me to keep collecting. Always handy to have a good partner on hand. Collection 20 then is from Chris Ettle. So Chris says the majority are James Bond related. I've been a Bond fan since I was about 7 or 8. Nowadays I really only collect non-fiction books related to Bond, although I have various versions of the Ian Fleming novels as well as those by the continuation authors. My personal favourite cover designs would have to be the Coronet covers from the 1990s. The Granada copy of The Man with the Golden Gun is the first Fleming novel I ever owned. I'm also currently trying to get at least one copy of all the Saint novels by Leslie Charteris. I still have 5 or 6 to find. Although I could get them online, I prefer to track them down in the wild as I like to wander the charity shops and the second-hand bookstores in my spare time. Well, I'm feeling with you there, Chris. It's a great pastime. It says, following your video on Andrea Camilleri, I picked up his first Inspector Montalban novel to try. One of the things I like about watching your videos, along with your excellent presentation, well, you're too kind, is that I can come across authors and books I would perhaps not usually think to try myself. Well, that's good. If we can all sort of recommend books that we've enjoyed to each other, it's fantastic. So thank you very much for that, Chris. So collection 21 is from Brad Hollerbach. Now, Brad has got an amazing collection, as you can see here, of original vintage paperback publisher book displays, and they are just absolutely amazing. Brad says that while the books are hard to find, the displays and promotional material is 100 times harder. I would definitely agree with that. He says, I have about a dozen displays and some Bantam 1950 shop ad display posters and consider myself very lucky for having them. Absolutely, Brad. There's not many of these that have survived, and well, I'd dearly love to get some more myself. I just love them to death. So collection 22 is from Stephen Sowerby. Now, Stephen says, firstly, I would like to say how much I enjoy your YouTube channel and also your Patreon. I also look forward to your latest upload. Well, thank you for being a patron. A bit of background, I grew up with Tom Baker in the role of Doctor Who. During the 1970s and 80s, I would walk up to my local bookshop with my pocket money and select my next target Doctor Who book. It was a very difficult decision because they were not only the stories I had seen on TV, but also other Doctors I had little chance at the time of ever seeing. The excitement of walking home with a book and sometimes even 2 books was great. Before a purchase, I would look over the great artwork on the books too. I did exactly the same. My love of Doctor Who has never gone away. I've always lived just outside Blackpool, and in the 70s and 80s I would visit the Doctor Who exhibition a couple of times each summer. At the end of the exhibition was a fantastic shop where I would spend up to an hour selecting my latest purchase. Once again, I only ever went to the Blackpool one once because it was a lot further away from me. I went to Longley a lot more, but I do remember the gift shops at the end were just amazing. He says, I was fortunate to have purchased most of the Target novels when they were issued, thanks to my mum. However, there have still been a few I have had to purchase recently, and still a few still to get, mainly because of the price. I'm in exactly the same boat. I've still got the last handful to finish my set. I also enjoy many other topics, including Star Wars, Blake 7, Man from U.N.C.L.E., James Bond, to name but a few. I regret it now, but about 25 years ago I sold some of my books and merchandise, mainly due to space. I would not do it now, and I wish I had not done it then. My big regret was letting my Blake 7, Space 1999 and Star Trek annuals go. All were mint from new. The pictures show some of my bookcases, mainly Doctor Who. Not an ideal layout, but what I have for now. I would love a space to display all my collections, maybe one day. Most of my James Bond books and World War II books are not out at the moment. We also have a bookcase with more modern issues, such as James Patterson and Stephen King. So lovely stuff there, so thank you for that. Collection 22 then is from Pete from Perth. So Pete says, hello Jules, I was watching your channel earlier and very much enjoyed it. Thanks for your informative segments. Here is my collection of original Star Trek hardback books. Now these are the hardbacks for the movie adaptations, and these are all quite tricky to track down. So Pete says that Star Trek VI The Undiscovered Country was by far the most difficult hardback to come by, as worldwide hardbacks were only ever printed in the UK, and those mainly went to the British libraries rather than retail outlets, so he's dead right there. Pete says his copy ended up in the local library at Moorabbin, just outside Melbourne, Australia, before he purchased it. And that's Pete over in Perth, Australia. So thanks for sharing those, Pete. Definitely worth keeping your eyes out for those hardbacks. So collection 24 is from Jason Buer. Now Jason has also sent over, as well as some photos, he sent over some video of his collection as well. So that's in the top right hand corner now. So Jason says, hello Jules, I just came across your post about asking for some Mad paperback collection photos. So Jason says, I run the Mad Museum website. His focus for the last 10 years has been to collect every single printing of every single Mad book, not just the known cover colour variations. Also, for the last 10 years, he's been building a spec database on which editions exist, which will hopefully turn into a book at a later date. So he's got every single printing of every single different book, and lots of them, as you can see here. One book may have come with like a dozen different printings. I think his collection of the original Mad box sets is just astounding, absolutely astounding. So if you're interested in this sort of thing, do head over to Jason's website, check out the Mad Museum. You will not be disappointed. Thanks very much for watching today. Don't forget, please send me your book collections and photos. I'd love to feature them in a future video. The next one of these I've planned for about late January, early February 2022. So you've got plenty of time to take some great photos or even video and send them through to me. Thank you very much for watching today. Do please hit that subscribe button if you've not already, and I'll look forward to seeing you again very soon. Bye.